excited to be here to launch the Chancellor Search at Missouri S&T. And the reason that I'm very excited is among all four universities, I see the most potential for this university to elevate its stature as a public research university. And the reason being is that it has outstanding faculty, a great alumni base, and very talented students. In addition, the staff members that I met here at this university are so deeply committed to the success of the students and the university. So it is really an exciting time for us to launch this search. This search is going to take a lot of hard work because we're not going to sit back and wait for applications to come in. We are going to be very proactive in identifying individuals who all of you believe can lead this university. There's going to be active recruitment. We're going to find out who is really interested and identify the best person to lead this university. How many of you in this university have been here more than 10 years? Raise your hands. 20 years. 30 years. Oh, one, yes. And how many years have you been here, if I can ask you? 35. What is your name? And which department do you work in? Very good, very good. Yes? Oh, is that Connie Goodridge? You don't have to tell us who you are. We know who you are. But when you speak to people who have worked at this university for many years, they also saw the potential for this university to be among the best science and technology university, and it's now a comprehensive university going forward. So I do agree that it takes the right leader for this university to become even better than what it is right now. But if we're sitting here in the audience thinking that we're waiting for that leader to take us to become a great university, let me share with you, that's not going to happen until all of us in the room sit back, reflect on our own contributions and say, what am I going to do to ensure that this university becomes better? Which means you're going to have to ask yourselves, what have I been doing that I should change so that I can make this university better? And I think where it's going to start is your contribution, your input into the process of searching the next chancellor for this university. So this is going to take a lot of work, as I mentioned, and I've identified, along with the faculty groups as well as the student and staff groups, some outstanding individuals to serve on this committee. If I can ask members of the search committee to stand, please stand. There's going to be a lot of hard work. Thank you for your sacrifice. And I really do appreciate your commitment to this university. We're also going to introduce the co-chairs of this search committee, and they are Franca Obo Ikunobe, as you know, is professor of geology and biological sciences. And it was very important for all of us to identify a faculty leader to serve as co-chair for this committee. And also Tom Voss, an alum and who has had an illustrious career in industry and is now giving back to the university, so thank you. We want to spend some time talking about the process of the search, but we also want to save a lot of time for you to ask us questions or provide your input. Now, there is a perception out there that the system is going through this as just a formality. This is not a formality. S&T doesn't deserve a formality. We need to have a full national search, and the best individual to lead this university will be selected. So with that, let me turn it over to the co-chairs so that they can provide more insights into this process.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very, very honored to be asked to serve on this committee by President Choi and for the confidence he has on me and the opportunity to partner with Tom Voss as we embark on this very, very important work. So, Tom?
Oh, I just want to say, too, I am very thankful and grateful to be part of this committee. It's a great honor to this great institution, and only comes a chance like this only comes by ever so often, so I really appreciate this.
Okay, President Choi has already introduced members of the committee, but I think the next slides are going to show who they are. Let's see. That's us. Okay, so for today's agenda, we are going to tell you a little bit about the search process and the experiences, the characteristics, and the qualities of the next chancellor that we're looking for. And we will give everyone the opportunity to ask questions. And President Choi will join us here on the podium to answer questions if we cannot answer your questions. And there's an email there where inquiries can be directed. So these are the search committee members. Not everyone can be here, but we are all going to be very busy the next couple of months. Tom?
Yeah, we're really pleased with the selection of the people that are on this search committee. It's very diverse, and it's very, we got faculty, we've got staff, we've got alumni, we've got people retired. We just got a real, students certainly, got a real representative group, we think, that can go through this process. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. I haven't met a lot of people on the search committee yet, but we tend to do that. We're going to start our session right after this today, and that'll kick it all off.
Okay, on the slide, you will see the kind of timeline we have. There will be listening sessions, a lot of stakeholders that will be involved in this process. And in the next month or so, we are going to begin recruitment. And the screening and selection committee will continue until we have the best candidates who will be invited to visit the campus. These are some of the upcoming stakeholder sessions. The Faculty Senate will be consulted, Staff Council, Student Forums, the Department Chairs Council, DCC, and Center Directors would also interact with these candidates. The Chancellor staff, Provost staff, the UM Chancellors will also be involved. The UM General Officers, the Board of Trustees, Minor Alumni Association. And the scheduling efforts are ongoing, but as you can see, we have over 100 people who are going to interact with these candidates.
We're going to go through a session here this morning about looking for what you think should be the characteristics of our next chancellor. And we're going to capture those thoughts on the screen over here. Tim McIntosh from the university system is going to assist us through the whole process, but today he's going to put in, try to capture your thoughts. And if you find out that what he puts up there isn't what you were really meaning, please stand up and correct him. We want to get it right. We want to make sure that we get your thoughts today as best we can. So, first we've got different categories here of what we'll be looking for. And in the area of experience, what do you think is important for the new chancellor? What should we be looking for in the resumes and their CVs and things like that? And so we're really looking for you to tell us what characteristics you think the new chancellor should have. And this goes through leadership characteristics too. You know, what we were just throwing these up to give you some idea of what could possibly be characteristics that you think the new chancellor should have. And desired qualities. Certainly things like vision, integrity. I think most of these we would expect the new chancellor to do all of those things. So. and key focus areas. That's one thing we really want to hear from you, is what you think should be the key focus area for the new chancellor, because this is what is going to differentiate the candidates, I believe. So this will be a key for us. So with that, I think we can, well, this is, there'll be updates put on this website, and so you can continually follow. This should be a very transparent process, so you should be able to keep up with what's going on. And with that,
So with that, we're going to open up the floor for questions. And there will be a roving microphone going around.
I've got a question. Can you tell us what
So can you introduce yourself, please?
Doug Bristow, Mechanical Engineering. What's the timeline that you're expecting for the process as it moves forward? And is it going to be an open search or a closed search?
Yeah, okay.
So the timeline is going to be very aggressive. We hope to have candidates who are interviewed at the airport, and I say airport in quotes because they may actually be in Rolla, so that they can see the campus, and have the second round of visits to the campus by December, so that if we find the right candidates, we'll make the offer and finalize it before the beginning of February. It's not going to be an open search in the sense that we're going to broadcast who the candidates are, but these individuals will come to the campus and meet with faculty groups, with student groups, staff groups, so that we can have a more engaged partnership, but there's not going to be an open forum. The reason being, some of the candidates for these positions, like this, are going to be sitting chancellors, in some cases sitting presidents, and they just want to make sure that if things don't work out in terms of that opportunity, that they want to be able to go back without having not been selected. And so it's going to be the same process that we used at UMKC, and I think that process went well. And you can also, I mean, that's not just from my perspective. You ask the faculty, students, and staff committees, as well as external partners like Alumni Association, they were very happy with that process. Now, having said that about timeline, if we don't get the appropriate number of candidates, this will continue until we find the right person. And so let's figure on December. By early December, we would have completed all of the interviews, and then we go into negotiations during the Christmas holiday break, and then an offer will be made soon after the new year, with an appointment to be announced by February.
First, thanks President Choi for mentioning that the candidate will be here to interact with the faculty and staff and the students. Ming Lu from Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, and also Director of Intelligence Systems Center. And although there is no open forum, that's okay, but I think it's very, very important. I'm glad you mentioned that, to interact with the faculty, students, and allow them to provide input. Because I have to say that, I don't want to name a person, but I just say that in the past, we have this search forum and saying that, no, we cannot have open, only the search committee will talk to the candidates. And because the best candidates will not come here to interview if we are kind of let them interact with faculty and students, and their name may be gone. And then we found some, those candidates, some of these past chancellors, and then after that, because we don't know who they were, we couldn't provide input.
You're using a mic, so you can.
All right, okay. Actually, I don't need to use my mic because I'm getting excited after a couple of minutes. All right. All right. So then after that, I talked to my colleague at some other universities, and he said, "You hired this guy? Too late." All right. So that's very important. And then, in fact, if you look at the previous one, Gary Thomas, he came here and everybody's involved. I think he was a really good chancellor. Right?
Who is this?
Gary Thomas. Gary Thomas is from about 2000 to 2005, although I know some people did not like him because he made all the right decisions, but he did not communicate very much. I know that, okay? All right, that's the way it is, all right. Okay, I want to mention this.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned about these qualities and experiences, and there are just so many of those, maybe a little bit too dilute. I think, in my opinion, and I want to ask for the search committee's view, especially the co-chairs. I think the most important one is research and scholarship. The candidate has done in the past. Doesn't mean that he's going to be here to be a scholar, will be doing research, but the person must have done great research, like President Choi and some research universities, and they really understand what it takes to do research and be able to really passionate about it instead of just doing the lip service. I think that's very important. And if we have the president of the quality, for example, has been the dean of at some major research universities, I think that would be a big plus because they really have gone through that. They want to bring us just like those universities. Right? And this is so important. And in fact, I want to mention that President Choi gave an excellent address about the excellence through innovation, the new University of Missouri system. It mentioned about 5 areas important. One is research and creative works. That's it. Very, very important to me. That's most important to us, because despite that you say we have great potential, yes, we do have great potential. We talk about that for years, but we never realize the potential. So what we need to do is we really need to realize that potential in the next few years, and we need to. That is important because for us to recruit and retain outstanding faculty and attract high-quality graduate students.
That's
Okay,
that's very good. Thank you.
yeah.
Do you have a comment?
I have a comment. Ming, those are very, very good comments. And you will have the opportunity to interact with the candidates as a center director.
No, let's give someone else a chance. You can come back at the end. Let me share this with you too. Research and creative works are very important, no question about that. But we're also a university. Student success is very important as well. We have to do a better job as a university when it comes to graduating our students. We're at 65% graduation rate. That is low for the quality of the students that we bring in. At Georgia Tech, the graduation rate is closer to 82%. And they have students who take co-ops, do the same things that our students do. So we have to do a better job in ensuring that our students graduate and graduate on time with lower debt. That's very important. Second, I do agree. Research and creative works at this university. We have a goal at this university to double research in 10 years. We need to quadruple our research. The reason I say that is with 314 tenure track faculty members at this university, 314, we do $32 million of expenditures for research, total research. Arizona State University's electrical engineering department with 75 faculty does $37 million in research. So I do agree, having a chancellor and a vice chancellor of research who focus on research to set the right tone and the environment for research is very important. But it's really up to faculty members to really collaborate across disciplines and write those proposals. When I say there's great potential, there is great potential here. Great potential that has not been tapped. But all of us have to work towards that. Next, yes, over there. Dick Brow.
Thanks, Moon. Richard Brow, Material Science and Interim Director of the Center for Biomedical Research. Moon, you mentioned 2 programs, Arizona State and Georgia Tech. I think when we recruit faculty from places like that, and my hope is that the committee will reach out to the deans of engineering and the vice chancellors of research at places that are aspirational for us. That the U.S. News and World Report just came out with their top list of engineering programs in the U.S. And I hope the committee reaches out to the top 30 or 40 of those programs and go after the deans, go after the vice chancellors, go after people who aren't thinking about this position but will recognize the opportunity they have here.
And they will do that.
Yeah, we
Franca?
will. Yes.
Yes. Not only will they do that, but Richard, we need distinguished faculty members like yourselves also reaching out, especially if you have personal connections, because that will make a tremendous impact. I think that's very important. And also staff members who may know people who can be recruited to this university. There's one thing that I don't think I mentioned, but I should. Faculty members or members of the search committee and staff members who are part of the university feel that this is a time to really vet the candidates when they come through. But they may not realize that this is also a recruitment opportunity, which means we have to be honest with them, but at the same time, we have to give them hope that this place, this university, is on the rise with great feelings about the future. But if faculty members and staff members during the meetings with the candidates basically say, we got our problems, what are you going to do to solve it? I guarantee you, even the best candidates are going to say, there's not the right culture here. I'm not saying that's the case, but remember, this is a two-way dance. They have to impress us, but we have to impress them. And there are many things about this university that are impressive, but we have to do our work as well. Questions from staff? Yes, Ali?
Thank you. Ali Herson, Electrical and Computer Engineering. I have a follow-up question. What is the process of attracting these type of the people in order to get interested in this position?
So obviously, once the position description and the job announcements are made, Tim and his team, as well as the co-chairs and members of the committee, are going to send it out to their colleagues. But the job announcement and the position description is going to be made available to all of you as a link. Take that and send it to your colleagues throughout the country, Penn State, Illinois. I mean, perhaps there will be individuals at these universities who are interested in moving. But let's not focus on those who serve as provosts or chancellors or presidents. Look at those opportunities of individuals who are deans of engineering, vice presidents for research. Remember, it's the right combination of personality and vision and that follow-through that's going to be so important. So please, we need all of your help in that regard. Encourage your colleagues to send it out. And if you have a colleague, for example, Ali, where'd you do your PhD? Central Florida? UCF. Maybe the Dean of Engineering at UCF may be interested, but a personal contact from you as an alum of that university will go a long way. So we ask all of you for your help in that regard. Yes, back there. Could you wait for the mic?
Sylvia Scobie, University Advancement. I was really wondering if we could flip back to the slide before this. We've got the demonstrated experience up here, and while that is very important to the chancellor that will, maybe it was the one after it, that's very important to the chancellor that will lead our university, but I think the characteristics of that person as who they are, how they lead, are they charismatic? Do they want to foster a cohesive environment on our campus? Do they want to spend time with our deans and our professors and our staff members? Our university advancement, our student affairs is just as important as the experience that they bring to our campus.
Great point. So let's ask ourselves, what additional characteristics should we put on there? And I like passionate and purposeful leader, but one thing that I would like to see on here is someone who genuinely cares about people. I think that's so important. And if we can put something in there to that effect and ask for your feedback. Someone who genuinely cares about the welfare of the students, faculty, and staff, and the community. That's a very important characteristic. Yes, back there?
Bethany Pope, University Advancement. I think, in my opinion, a characteristic that we need to be mindful of with this search is an administrator that not only has an understanding of faculty excellence, but also knows the delicate balance with faculty excellence and a profound appreciation for staff as well. And I just think, in my opinion, that that should also be remembered. So.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Sticknote. I work in the admissions office as Director of Admissions. I have one kind of comment and then one characteristic that I think is important. And that characteristic is really listening to subject matter experts. I think vision is good, but blind vision is not good. And this campus, I think, is overcoming some of the challenges we had related to that. But I think it's really important that people listen to those who do the job, whether it's staff or faculty. I think that's really important. I guess my concern is, and so I'm going to ask Franca and Tom, there is nobody on the committee that represents enrollment management. There is one person who works in enrollment management, but I think they're representing staff council. And when I look at the groups that the chancellor candidates are going to interact with, unless I missed it, it doesn't look like enrollment management will be in there. So what are your thoughts on the importance of strategic enrollment management and revenue generation, both at the undergraduate and graduate level?
No, I think we can certainly add your group as another group of stakeholders, and we're still building this whole timeline, and we'll work with team to make sure that happens. I do believe enrollment management is very important. You heard from one of the earlier speakers, or maybe it was before this forum, about enrollment and how we could balance that with space and everything else. So we have to be very mindful of that. So we will work to include your group.
I think it's really important, given Dr. Troy's message last Friday, which has a lot of initiatives related to growth.
Yes, we do. But grow in a smart manner.
Yeah.
The other universities have capacity. I don't know if this university currently has capacity, but how do we ensure that enrollment management is not just bringing students in, it's ensuring that the students graduate and graduate on time. So that's a very important component. And there's a lot of data analytics that go into it, obviously. So we have to be very focused and strategic about it. Thank you. Yes, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Steve Tupper from Global Learning. Hey, my perspective is that we want somebody with a lot of personal connectivity, and we want also somebody with a sense of excellence, which we really kind of haven't listed here, at least, so I would at least put those down. In my perspective, and President, you and I may not like this suggestion long-term because this may be calling artillery down on our own position, but there's a class of people who are essentially very senior military people who do like to go to academia afterwards. They have a tremendous amount of personal connectivity. They are connected very strongly to some of the things that we're interested in. We in Missouri S&T have had some long-term plans. We're trying to find a person that can really push those through, not the current, you know, we express them in different ways, but we've been still in a transformation to a real research organization. I think you're indicating that in some ways. We've had this ambition to really leverage Fort Leonard Wood, to leverage the extensive defense infrastructure that's in Missouri, the great industry. Somebody like that could really help us because they would know who and where had that, would know what excellence looks like, and would be able to help us get through past the front doors in Washington, D.C. So if we're willing, and I'll certainly be happy to give you guys some suggestions and thoughts to go with, we've got some tremendous assets in Missouri that could help us lead to some really high-class folks. The guy that ran, you know, NSA and things like that, they might be willing to come home.
Well, I think someone who has an academic background will be preferred because understanding the culture of academia, coming from a military career where there's a hierarchy and top-down, you give an order and faculty members jump into place to do the work. I just don't think that's going to work here. But having said that, there are outstanding people like General Myers, who leads Kansas State as the president. William McRaven, the admiral, was the president of Chancellor of University of Texas System. So it depends on the personality. But I would say let's not rule anybody out. Let's not rule anybody out. I don't think they decided at Kansas State that they're going to go for a 4-star Joint Chief of Staff chairman for their presidency, but he just happened to apply for the position. He rose through the ranks. So we have to keep that in mind. So let's broaden our search. We need to really broaden our search. Another thing that should be on there that I didn't put on there is for you to consider someone who's a good listener, but also a good communicator. One of the things that I noticed, not just at this campus, every campus that I've been to, is sometimes the faculty and staff are not aware of what's really happening. And then directives come out and they say, where did this come from? And I'm guilty of that too. So the more that we can listen but communicate back, I think is a key focus, key characteristic that we should have. We didn't hear anything from this side of the room. So anybody from that side would like to ask a question? Cuba? No? All right.
So one of the things that I think is really important in our next leader is that they have a long-term focus, that they're not making decisions in the short term. So what's going to be the immediate impact, but they really look at not only what is the immediate impact, but also the longer-term impact of those decisions. And again, just reinforcing some of the things that they're open and collaborative in their leadership style, that they listen, but that they do have a vision and a plan. And also, giving the environment that we're going to be living in, they need to really have some fiscal experience so that they take fiscal reality into some of the decisions that are made.
Oh, definitely. Someone who also understands how to grow the revenue. So in this environment, what are the sources of revenue that we have for the university? Support from the state. And what is the trend of the support from the state? It's going to go down. And tuition. But if we're at capacity, well, research doesn't really, research is important. It adds to the top line, but also adds to the bottom line. It actually costs more than what it brings in. But in those two areas, in enrollment, we're going to be challenged because you're nearly at capacity. So what are additional sources of revenue that we can explore? Well, online is a great opportunity. You have a tremendous reputation as a science and technology university. But if we're thinking about online strictly as I'm going to videotape or deliver my course using video transfer instead of using the new approaches for online, for asynchronous learning, we're missing a boat. Now, how many people here know about what's happened at Arizona State? And how many people think that what happened at Arizona State is a good thing? Okay. I didn't know very much about what was happening at Arizona State, so we went out there to visit Michael Crow and his senior leadership team. Since 2002, when he took over until now, that university has had dramatic cuts in support from the state, dramatic cuts. They even had to basically take portions of salary away from all faculty and staff, including their football coaches. Now, they've grown their research so that their total research is $600 million. Total research at the entire University of Missouri system is $400 million. Arizona State doesn't have a medical school. We have 2 medical schools. They don't have an ag school. We have one of the best ag schools. And he's able to use ASU Online to pump about $40 to $50 million per year from those profits into the academics and research. So it took a very bold and visionary person to come in and make all of those changes, but the faculty members were ready for it. They were ready for the change, saying, 10 years from now, if we continue the same way that we're going, where are we going to be? I mean, really ask yourself, this is 2018. By 2028, if we are not willing to make changes and think of new ways of doing things, someone else is going to be in this position looking for a chancellor, and we look at the research numbers, student graduation numbers, they haven't moved. Unless we are willing to change ourselves, there's no leader who's going to come in and magically make the changes for us. We have to be ready for it and support that type of growth. Is there another question there? Question from students? I think I see 2 students here. Oh, no, here? There's a question there too, okay. We'll go to you right afterwards. Yes, please.
So
Can
to
you
your
stand
point,
and introduce
Sure.
yourself?
I'm Rhonda Byers, the HR director, and while it's inherent in all of the things that have been up there, and actually I'm so glad you just addressed, because it's not just important to be someone who is sensitive to change, but can really lead change and select those around them that can help lead that change and communicate, and knowing that many of our campuses have been through a lot of change, particularly over the last 2 to 3 years, and knowing that we have to change going forward, someone that can really manage that and bring people along. So I know it's inherent in all of that, but as a separate skill, it's very important.
Yes, back there.
Nancy Stone, Psychological Science and co-director of Smart Living. I'm hearing, I just need some clarification, because you talk about us being comprehensive, which I greatly appreciate. And I also am hearing things such as, well, we need to go after engineering deans. So my question is, if you really want an open search, you're not limited to, right? It's not being limited to any type of dean. You're going after any type of dean or any type of, is that correct?
Yes, you are right. Yeah, I brought up the engineer dean idea because someone else said, yeah, that's a good idea, but no, they're not limited. If you have a 4-star general who's a joint chief of staff chairman, we're open to that as well. Seriously, we are open, but don't wait for us to contact them. If you have outstanding people, nominate them and talk up the position to them and saying, yeah, this is a really good opportunity. This university is on the verge of making some big changes. We're ready for a visionary leader. So absolutely. Thank you. Yes, question there. Andy, right there.
Who's that?
Do you have a question?
Lister.
Lister Florence, one of the active alumnus in the community. We always talk about diversity, and one of the things I like to stress about that is I think that it's important for our leadership to understand that we're preparing our students for the future and we're preparing from the workforce, and we're doing them a disservice if we don't prepare them for a diverse workforce and how to operate in a diverse workforce. And I know people have different opinions about it, but it makes our students more successful if they're prepared for the real world experience. And so I want to make sure we constantly keep mentioning that's one of the purposes we're trying to do. We want to prepare them academically, but we also want to prepare them socially for hitting the ground for us. And that's why we've been so successful as MS&T graduates, is that we do prepare them, but we want to make sure we're understanding how society is changing and making sure that we understand that this is what we need to also be looking for in our leadership and what we want to make sure we have for our students.
You're absolutely right. And exposing our students to people with different backgrounds and perspectives is going to be so important because it'll prepare them for their life after leaving Missouri S&T. Yes, thank you. Yes?
Elizabeth Papula, the student coordinator of the orientation team here on campus. My question was, well, I was in class earlier, so I may have missed it, but my question is, how do we go about nominating somebody, and can students do that as well?
Yes, students can do that. What are you studying?
Change my major. Engineering management with a minor in applied mathematics.
And where are you from?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. When do you graduate?
May of 2020.
May 2020. So you're a junior?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yes, students, faculty, staff, alums, community members, they can all apply. So, Tim, there will be an email that goes out to the entire community that has the link that members can use to forward to individuals to encourage them to apply, but there will also be a nomination page on the website as well. Yes.
All right, thank
But
you.
when you nominate someone, I'd like to ask you to follow up with that person to say, I nominated you. Here's why Missouri S&T is a great place to become a chancellor. So if you don't have that, if they ask you, so why should I apply to Missouri S&T? And if you don't have an answer, that's, well, I'm sure you have an answer because you're a great student at Missouri S&T. So, but have that answer. Have 3 or 4 things that you can just rattle off and say, this is why Missouri S&T is a great place to work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yes, please. Yeah, no, okay. All right. You don't need a mic.
You don't?
He's got such a big
I want to echo this HR director. Sorry, I don't know your name. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see you. Because we are, I think all the faculty, staff, and students are ready to be led. We need to find a leader, right? A great leader, academic leader, who has been doing great research. He's not coming here to do research, but respect by faculty member.
He or she.
He or she. Sorry about that. That's not sexism. He or she. All right. I'm trying to be too efficient. That's engineer. The problem with engineers. All right. And I'm glad you mentioned about this Arizona State University. That's the kind of people, we want to grow our research. And because research is so important to the ranking. If we have good ranking and good leader, then the best faculty members will be here. I don't know if you know that we have been able to recruit really good faculty members, but we cannot retain them. Because of what? Because our ranking is not high enough. We couldn't find the best graduate students, and they are so good, they've been attracted to other universities. So find resources is another very important thing.
So research is very important into that equation for sure, but we should also ask ourselves, do we have the appropriate nurturing, compassionate environment so that faculty members feel comfortable, staff members and students feel comfortable too? That's a very important thing that we have to remember at this and other universities.
That's why we are looking for a leader. Exactly, you're right.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Yes, there's a question here. Yes.
Hello, it's not so much a question, more so
Could you
a
use
statement.
put it a little, yes.
And it's Lenisa Parks from Student Diversity Initiatives. One thing that I think would be really important for a chancellor is someone who's willing to push forward initiatives to support diversity and cultural competencies within our staff as well as our faculty members. One of the comments that I commonly get from students is the need for our staff as well as for faculty to be more aware of the ever-changing environments that these students are currently existing in. Just like Lister was stating, how there's a constant need for our students to better understand the world, and that initiative needs to come from the top all the way down. If they see faculty and staff living the lives that we want to promote within our students, they will be better prepared for success in the workforce.
Very good. Are you a student?
Oh.
You're a staff member?
Yes, sir.
Which department?
Student Diversity Initiatives.
Student University Initiative. Diversity Initiatives, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, very, very good point. That's a very good point. They have to live that themselves instead of just expecting others to do so. Yes. Yes, Dean.
Hi, Steve Roberts, Dean of Art Sciences and Business. And just another comment about diversity. So one of the 5 compacts is inclusive excellence. And on this campus, I think it's fair to say that we have tremendous unmet potential in the diversification of our faculty, staff, and students, and administrators. And I think it would be critically important as we consider applicants and candidates for this position to appreciate if they have a very significant and tangible record of diversity initiatives and, frankly, including the diversity of ranks of students in staff and faculty.
Yes, there was a clapping over there. Just one person? Thank you. Thank you, Steve. All right, yes, any last comment? Yes, Zara, hold on.
I have a request, if you find it appropriate, just in the interest of planning future events. Could you please ask the faculty, staff, and students respectively to stand up so we can see what the composition of the audience is, just to make sure the time is good for them.
So, faculty members, if you can stand. Okay, if you can sit. Staff members, and that includes administrators, yes, great. And students. I think we have, very good, all right. So we heard from 2 students. Oh,
Alumni.
alums, of course. So how can I forget that? Alums, absolutely. Oh, thank you. That's great. That's great. All right. And chiefs of police? Any chiefs of police in the room? I really appreciate your time today, and then we're going to go into meeting with the committee so I can charge them, and look forward to seeing you at the Research Development Day at Havner Center. Thank you for your time. Let me thank the 2 co-chairs for their time, and the members of the search committee. We have some exciting work to do, but it's really up to you how successful it becomes. So thank you. Thank you for your time.